criticized the president for saying authorities ought to confiscate guns first and worry about due process later. That is unconstitutional, as we pointed out. We're pretty sure the president is reconsidering that. News reports today say he is. But we didn't want to leave the impression last night that the administration is the main threat to gun rights or to due process. It's not. In fact, it's not even close. Here's a reminder of how the other side feels about those things.
Force these allegedly Christian men and women who stuff their pockets with money from the NRA year after year after year to do something now.
So many thousands of people are dying every year for this so-called liberty.
You have a whole generation of young people who essentially see the NRA as their enemy. To them, the NRA is like the KKK. It's just some hostile force that is against them, that's risking their lives.
The Bible warns us not to worship false gods, and yet it does seem that much of America is indeed worshipping at the altar of the gun gods.
We're getting lectures on Christianity from the media. Pretty amazing. Trump did say something stupid about due process the other day, and the fact is, though, that the left has been opposing due process, the most basic of our constitutional rights, for a long time, particularly on the subject of gun control. When was the last time you heard a Democratic politician praise the Australian solution to gun violence? A lot. If you're watching CNN, you probably heard it today. They say it all the time. Question is, do you know anything about how Australia implemented gun control? Well, confiscation. They took the guns away from the population by force, and not just from criminals and people who've been convicted of wrongdoing. The government of Australia took guns from law-abiding people who had done nothing wrong. They punished the innocent. What exactly did that look like? Well, here's an ad from one of Australia's gun confiscation efforts. It shows naked men in a prison shower and warns the public to turn their guns in or else they'll be sent to prison too. Effectively, the government threatened law-abiding citizens with prison rape if they didn't surrender their guns. That's what liberals are calling for in this country every time they talk about the Australian solution. And there are a lot more ads like that. We're going to tweet them out tonight. By the way, that's what the assault weapons ban is. Democrats are pushing for a law that would outlaw more than 200 kinds of firearms, as well as all guns that have various irrelevant cosmetic features like bayonet lugs and lots of other things people wrote the law know nothing about. If that law passes, and it might if the Democrats take Congress, you will be punished. You'll have fewer rights. But wait a second. You've done nothing wrong. You never shot anybody. You have no plans to shoot anybody. Doesn't matter. Democrats will treat you the same way they treat convicted felons, as unworthy to be trusted with firearms. Meanwhile, their bodyguards will still have the most powerful guns available. Of course they will, because they can, because they're in charge and you're not. The left is also demanding the government bar people under 21, these are people who are eligible to vote and serve in the military, from buying firearms. Now again, most people under 21 haven't done anything wrong. They haven't been convicted of a crime or committed crimes. But a few of them have. So Democrats are saying all must be punished. Imagine applying the same standard to other constitutional rights. For example, let's say somebody shouted fire in a crowded theater and scores died. Would the rest of us lose our right to free speech? These are real questions. They're inconvenient so soon after the massacre in Parkland, for which the country is still grieving. But we should remember, this is a country worth living in precisely because we take the Constitution seriously. When we stop taking it seriously, it won't be a country worth living in. President Trump seems to have remembered that. Many on the left never knew it, and they don't care anyway. You often hear progressives say they want an honest conversation about guns. Well, of course we do too. And that's why we've invited the heads of almost every different gun control group to come on this show and tell us what they really believe. We'll let them talk. Mike Bloomberg